The alarm blared at 5:59 a.m. Alex rolled over, his eyes still heavy with sleep, and silenced it with a practiced swipe. Another day of opportunity awaited. He'd been following the pre-market moves since 5 a.m. on his phone, watching the futures tick up and down while still in bed.
Today's going to be different,
He muttered to himself, the same mantra he'd repeated for the past 8 months. Alex's studio apartment had transformed into what he proudly called his trading command center. 3 monitors dominated his desk, displaying charts with colorful lines that he'd convinced himself told a story only he could decipher. Empty energy drink cans formed a small mountain in the trash bin beside him. The journey had started innocently enough. After graduating with a business degree and facing a lackluster job market, Alex had stumbled upon a YouTube video, How I Made $50,000 in One-Day Trading Stocks. The title alone was intoxicating. Why waste years climbing a corporate ladder when he could make that kind of money from his bedroom? He'd started with $15,000, his entire savings plus a small loan from his parents that he'd promised to repay with interest. The first few trades had gone surprisingly well.
Connections are overrated. I don't need to kiss up to some corporate boss when I can make more in an hour than they make in a day. But what about building something real?
Alex had laughed it off. Building something real required time, effort, and dealing with people. All things he wished to avoid. Trading was efficient. Just him against the market. A pure meritocracy where the smartest player won. Six months in, the reality was less glamorous. His $15,000 had swelled to $22,000 before plummeting to $9,000. The losses gnawed at him, but he blamed them on emotional decisions. That's when he turned to automation. Alex spent weeks learning to code trading algorithms, building bots that would execute trades based on technical indicators without human intervention.
Set it and forget it.
He told himself, imagining passive income flowing into his account while he lived his life elsewhere. But there was no elsewhere anymore. His life had shrunk to the confines of his apartment, his eyes constantly darting to price alerts on his phone. Every notification triggered a dopamine rush or a wave of dread. The bots performed no better than he had. Some days brought wins that rekindled his hope, but the losses always followed, steady and unrelenting like erosion. Each trade incurred commissions, small cuts that bled his capital dry one transaction at a time. One night, after a particularly brutal day when one of his algorithms went haywire during a market correction, Alex found himself staring at his account balance, $4,286.33. Almost 2/3 of his money gone, and nothing to show for the countless hours he'd spent. He stumbled across an article that night, The House Always Wins, Why Retail Day Traders Lose. It outlined with mathematical precision how brokerages profited from transaction fees regardless of whether traders won or lost. The market wasn't a meritocracy. It was a casino where the house collected on every bet. The revelation hit him like a physical blow. He wasn't the player he thought he was. He was being played.
I've been an idiot.
Marco didn't gloat or lecture. Instead, he listened as Alex poured out his frustrations and realizations.
You know, the startup I'm working with needs someone who understands financial algorithms. Not for trading, but for analyzing business efficiency metrics. That's probably entry-level pay compared to what I could make trading. Could make, but haven't. Plus, you'd be building something, working with real people solving real problems.
The offer lingered in Alex's mind for days. His trading account sat untouched as he considered an alternative path, one that required patience, collaboration, and actual human connection. 2 weeks later, Alex accepted the position. The startup, Real Metrics, specialized in helping small businesses optimize their operations through data analysis. His job was to develop algorithms that transformed complex financial data into actionable insights. The irony wasn't lost on him. He was still building algorithms, but now they created value instead of chasing it. 3 years passed quickly. Real Metrics grew from 5 people working in a cramped office to a team of 30 with clients across the country. Alex had risen to become Chief Technology Officer, his understanding of financial systems proving invaluable as they expanded their services. The work fulfilled him in ways trading never had. Each algorithm he developed helped real businesses employ real people and provide real services. The abstract numbers on the screen now represented actual human livelihoods.
The biggest revelation for me was understanding that wealth isn't just numbers in an account. Real wealth comes from building something valuable, something that solves problems for others.
That conversation sparked an idea. What if they could use their data analysis expertise to help retail investors avoid the traps he'd fallen into? Six months later, Trade Truth launched as a subsidiary of Real Metrics. The platform offered unvarnished analysis of market patterns, broker tactics, and the psychological triggers that led retail traders to make poor decisions.
We're basically revealing the magician's tricks. But we believe investors deserve to know when they're being nudged toward actions that benefit others more than themselves.
Aren't you worried about alienating potential partners in the financial industry?
We're not anti-trading, we're pro-informed trading. The partners who matter will respect that.
The platform grew steadily, attracting users disillusioned with get-rich-quick promises. Some financial firms even partnered with them, recognizing that educated clients made for longer-lasting relationships. 5 years after abandoning day trading, Alex sat in the conference room of Real Metrics' new headquarters, looking out at the skyline. The company now employed over 200 people and had offices in 3 cities. His stake in the business was worth more than he'd ever dreamed of making through trading. And unlike those dreams, this value was built on something substantial. His phone buzzed with a notification. Trade Truth had just released a new feature that analyzed broker fee structures to show users exactly how much their trading activity cost them over time. Early feedback was overwhelmingly positive. Alex smiled, remembering the bitter young man who had once believed wealth could be acquired without connection, without creating value for others. How wrong he had been.
Ready for the investor meeting? More than ready. You know, I was thinking about expanding our educational platform to include high schools, financial literacy, but with actual transparency about how the system works. Always looking to change the game, aren't you? Someone has to, otherwise the house keeps winning.
They entered the meeting room where investors waited to hear about the next phase of their company's growth. These weren't faceless algorithms or anonymous market makers, but people who believed in what they were building. A different kind of wealth, measured not just in dollars but in impact. Alex had finally learned the truth. The real game wasn't about beating the market. It was about changing it.